The transformation, no one saw coming. She entered our lives as the bushy-haired, spell-casting genius of Gryffindor, a girl with oversized sweaters, curious eyes, and a brain that could outwit anyone at Hogwarts. But who could have predicted what Emma Watson would become? Not just a movie star, not just a fashion icon, not even just a women's rights activist. No, Emma Watson became something far more rare in Hollywood, a woman completely in control of her story. From child star to Ivy League graduate, from red carpet regular to UN ambassador, from girl next door to one of the most influential forces in sustainable fashion, her glow-up isn't just stunning, it's strategic. So how did the world's favorite bookworm rewrite her destiny and become a global powerhouse? This is the evolution of Emma Watson like you've never seen it. Emma Charlotte Dwyer Watson was just 9 years old when she auditioned for the role that would define her youth, Hermione Granger in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. She had no professional acting experience, no family connections in Hollywood, and yet, she stood out instantly. Producers said her intelligence and presence were undeniable. Her co-stars recalled her memorizing everyone's lines, not just her own. From the very beginning, Emma was sharp, curious, and serious about her craft. But with that sudden rise came a price. As the Harry Potter phenomenon exploded into a global empire, Emma found herself trapped in a strange paradox. She was world famous, yet still just a kid. And while Daniel Radcliffe and Rupert Grint had moments of wildness and growing pains in public, Emma remained the perfect one. The polite, well-spoken, always put-together young girl fans wanted Hermione to be. Even off-screen, people referred to her as Hermione. Strangers expected her to be the voice of reason. The pressure to embody that image never stopped. In interviews, she once admitted that as a teenager, she felt like she was playing a version of herself in public, always cautious, always careful not to disappoint. By 16, she was navigating red carpets, international press tours, and school exams at the same time. She couldn't go anywhere without being watched. Her outfits, her hair, her body language, all dissected by tabloids and fans alike. And through it all, she was still just a girl trying to figure out who she was. But Emma was taking mental notes, and while most saw a bright young actress destined for more magic roles, she was already imagining a very different future. When the final Harry Potter movie wrapped in 2010, the world braced itself to say goodbye to a generation of magic. But Emma Watson was about to cast her own spell, one that didn't involve wands or wizardry. Just months after the final premiere, she stepped onto a red carpet with a completely new look, a jawline-hugging pixie cut that shocked the industry. Gone were the long waves of Hermione Granger. This was bold, confident, defiant. For Emma, the haircut wasn't just fashion, it was freedom. "I needed to do something drastic," she told reporters. "I wanted to mark the end of an era and the beginning of something new." And it worked. The world stopped seeing her as a little girl overnight. Magazine editors called it a metamorphosis. Designers started inviting her to sit front row at fashion weeks. Stylists couldn't stop talking about her bone structure, her effortless elegance, her refusal to play by the usual child star rules. But not everyone approved. Some executives allegedly told her to wait, that it might damage her career. "You'll never land romantic roles with short hair," they warned. Emma didn't care. That haircut became a line in the sand. She wasn't going to be typecast, she wasn't going to play it safe, and she wasn't going to let Hollywood define what she could, or couldn't, become. She started exploring edgier looks, tuxedo-style dresses, bold red lips, and sleek minimalist gowns. No more wizard robes, no more safe choices. But this glow-up wasn't just happening in salons and designer showrooms. Behind the scenes, Emma was planning an even more unexpected twist. Just when the world expected her to lean harder into her rising fame, Emma Watson pulled another surprise move. She enrolled at Brown University, one of the most prestigious Ivy League schools in America. To fans, it seemed bizarre. Why would a global superstar, at the peak of her fame, voluntarily step out of the spotlight to study literature? But to Emma, it was simple. She needed to reclaim her identity. In interviews, she described the experience as liberating. For the first time in years, she could be a student, not a celebrity. She wore sweaters and jeans. She sat in lecture halls like any other undergrad. No handlers, no stylists, just Emma. And while there were whispers of classmates making sly comments, stories of people yelling, "3 points for Gryffindor," as she entered class, Emma later clarified that her time at Brown was overwhelmingly positive. She even studied abroad at Oxford for a semester, further deepening her academic roots. Her fashion during this time evolved again, this time into what fans called brainy chic. Think wool coats, leather satchels, tailored trousers, and subtle elegance. She wasn't showing off. She was tuning in to herself. The public began to realize this wasn't just a glow-up, it was a reinvention. While other young celebrities were dominating gossip blogs and fashion columns for scandalous behavior or shocking red carpet stunts, Emma was doing book clubs and internships at women's rights organizations. She wasn't chasing fame, she was chasing purpose. And soon, that purpose would bring her back into the spotlight. But this time, as a global leader. In 2014, Emma Watson stepped onto the global stage once again. But this time, it wasn't as an actress. It wasn't as a fashion icon. It was as a revolutionary voice. Appointed as a UN Women Goodwill Ambassador, Emma was invited to speak at the launch of the He for She campaign, a movement calling for men to join the fight for gender equality. No script, no teleprompter, just Emma, standing tall, speaking her truth. Her voice was steady, her message was clear, and within hours, it was viral. She spoke about the limited roles girls are forced into, about the pressures men face to hide their emotions, about being called bossy instead of a leader. Her words resonated with millions, not just because of what she said, but because of who was saying it. People who had grown up watching her as Hermione Granger suddenly saw her in a new light, not a know-it-all, but a thought leader. The media exploded. Articles called it the most important celebrity speech in years. Celebrities and politicians praised her courage. Trolls tried to tear her down, and failed. This moment cemented Emma as more than just a Hollywood success story. She was now a symbol of intelligence, class, and unshakable conviction. And once again, her style evolved to match. No longer trying to prove her femininity or rebel with bold cuts, Emma now leaned into polished minimalism. Sleek black dresses, high-neck blouses, powerful pantsuits in neutral tones. Her look was deliberate, intellectual, and untouchable. She was sending a message with every outfit. Don't focus on what I'm wearing. Listen to what I'm saying. But as she mastered the art of leadership, another arena was quietly calling her name. And she was about to conquer that too. After her UN speech, many assumed Emma Watson might turn her back on acting altogether. But instead, she began redefining what it meant to be a leading lady. No longer interested in roles that were merely romantic or decorative, Emma became selective, ruthlessly so. She turned down dozens of scripts, said no to huge franchises, rejected roles that didn't align with her values or stretch her as an artist. What she chose instead: gritty, complicated, and often unpredictable characters. In The Perks of Being a Wallflower, she played Sam, a free-spirited, wounded teenager exploring trauma and identity. In The Bling Ring, she transformed into Nikki, a fame-obsessed thief inspired by a real-life Hollywood burglary ring. This wasn't the Emma Watson fans were used to, and that was the point. The Bling Ring especially caught attention. She delivered lines dripping with entitlement, wore heavy lashes and designer knockoffs, and strutted through scenes like she owned LA. It was shocking, even jarring. And it was brilliant. "I wanted to play someone who scared me," she later admitted. someone totally unlike me. And in doing so, she proved something powerful. She wasn't afraid of backlash. She wasn't here to be liked. She was here to grow. Her fashion reflected this boldness too. At premieres, she wore daring gowns with unexpected cuts, side slits, open backs, dramatic capes. Her confidence was radiant, but never overdone. She didn't need to show skin to make a statement. She showed substance. Then came Beauty and the Beast, one of the most anticipated live-action remakes of all time. But even in this classic role, Emma demanded control. She refused corsets for the Belle costume, requested design changes to make the dresses more functional and empowering, pushed to make Belle an inventor, not just a dreamer. And it worked. The film grossed over $1.2 billion worldwide, and Emma became the highest-paid actress that year. But more importantly, she did it her way. Still, even billion-dollar success wasn't enough to distract from what she was quietly building next. By now, Emma Watson had proven herself in films, in classrooms, and on podiums. But there was still one industry she had yet to fully conquer: fashion. And once again, she wasn't interested in just being a pretty face. From the start, Emma refused to play by fashion's traditional rules. While many celebrities accepted massive endorsement deals from luxury houses, Emma aligned herself with sustainability and ethics. Her first fashion partnership wasn't with Gucci or Louis Vuitton. It was with People Tree, a fair trade fashion brand focused on ethical clothing. At the time, sustainable fashion was still niche, even uncool. But Emma saw the bigger picture. She began studying supply chains, researching materials, meeting with designers who shared her values. And when Beauty and the Beast hit theaters, she took it a step further. Every single outfit she wore on the press tour was sustainable. A Calvin Klein gown made from recycled plastic bottles, a Louis Vuitton dress created in a carbon-neutral atelier, Stella McCartney suits made with vegan leather and organic cotton. Each look was stunning, but the message was even stronger. Fashion doesn't have to hurt the planet. She launched a private Instagram account, At the Press Tour, solely dedicated to highlighting the sustainability behind her wardrobe. Fans and fashion editors ate it up. It wasn't performative, it was educational. And once again, Emma was miles ahead of the curve. Soon, fashion giants took notice. Burberry, Chanel, Dior, all wanted her. Not just as a model, but as a collaborator. She sat on advisory boards. She spoke at fashion summits. She refused to wear brands with questionable labor practices. Some insiders claimed she turned down over $10 million in sponsorship deals because they didn't align with her ethics. To Emma, image was never about status. It was about storytelling. Her Met Gala looks became symbolic. In 2016, she wore a dramatic off-the-shoulder gown made entirely from recycled plastic bottles. Vogue called it the future of red carpet fashion. She didn't just look good, she made you think. Her beauty wasn't just visual, it was visionary. By her late 20s, Emma Watson had crafted a public image that was, quite frankly, untouchable. Brilliant, beautiful, ethical, articulate, the world saw her as the gold standard of celebrity. She wasn't just a former child star, she was a blueprint for how to grow up gracefully in Hollywood. But that kind of praise comes with its own kind of prison. The media, and the public, expected her to never slip up, to be feminist, but not too angry, sexy, but never provocative, stylish, but always modest, smart, but not intimidating. It was a tightrope, and even someone as poised as Emma couldn't walk it forever. In 2017, a Vanity Fair photo shoot caused a firestorm. One image, showing Emma in a partially open top, drew backlash. Critics claimed she had betrayed her feminist values. Emma responded swiftly, calmly, powerfully. "Feminism is about choice," she said. "It's not a stick with which to beat other women. It's about freedom, liberation, and equality." But the moment revealed something deeper. Emma was constantly being asked to explain herself, to justify her every move, word, and outfit. She began pulling back from social media. Interviews became rare, public appearances more spaced out. She admitted later that the pressure to be perfect had become overwhelming, and that her public image was taking a toll on her private self. Even her style reflected the shift. Her fashion became quieter, understated. She wore more earth tones, softer silhouettes, minimalist cuts. She was retreating, not just physically, but emotionally. And soon the world would start to notice, because Emma Watson was slowly disappearing from view. Between 2019 and 2023, Emma Watson virtually vanished from public life. No new movie roles, no Met Gala appearances, no social media activity. For fans who had followed her evolution for years, it was eerie. Rumors flooded the internet. She quit acting. She's secretly married. She's pregnant. She's working undercover on a passion project. Paparazzi caught fleeting glimpses, walking alone in London, vacationing in Greece, sipping coffee in Los Angeles bookstores, always low-key, always solo, always just out of reach. Then in 2021, a representative denied retirement rumors, saying Emma was simply inactive on social media, not retired from acting. But still, the silence spoke volumes. Emma later admitted that she felt disconnected from her identity, that she'd been living under a spotlight for too long and had lost touch with what she truly wanted. She used the time to reflect, travel, read, write, experiment creatively, heal. And when she did return, it was in a way no one expected. In 2022, Emma emerged from her hiatus, not in front of a camera, but behind one. She directed, wrote, and starred in a fragrance campaign for Prada's Paradox scent, her directorial debut. The visuals were sleek, symbolic, and deeply personal. The narration, her own voice, her own words. "I'm never the same, but I'm always myself," she says in the ad. Fans were stunned. This wasn't just a comeback, it was a statement. Emma had taken control of her narrative again, just as she had done at every critical turning point in her life. But now she wasn't merely the face of a brand, she was the architect. Behind the scenes, whispers spread of upcoming projects. Not just acting, but producing, writing, possibly even launching a creative studio focused on eco-conscious storytelling. She described herself in interviews as self-partnered, a term that sparked headlines worldwide. It wasn't just a rejection of societal norms, it was a declaration of independence. Even her fashion reflected a creative rebirth. The Prada campaign featured gender-fluid tailoring, unexpected cuts, and stark visuals. She wasn't following trends, she was creating them. Emma Watson had reinvented herself. Again. Today, Emma Watson stands as one of the rarest figures in entertainment. She never had a public meltdown, never sold her story to tabloids, never spiraled from child stardom. Instead, she built a legacy rooted in intention. She didn't just glow up physically, she evolved intellectually, spiritually, politically, and professionally. She became a global voice for equality, a pioneer in sustainable fashion, a thought leader, a creative visionary. She took risks, set boundaries, said no, even when it meant walking away from easy money or mass attention. She reminded the world that brilliance isn't just about grades or glamour. It's about knowing your worth. And through every phase, the awkward schoolgirl, the activist in a pantsuit, the mystery woman in hiding, Emma showed us that real power comes from within. Her story isn't about going from geeky to gorgeous. It's about redefining what gorgeous even means. In a world that's obsessed with glow-ups, with external transformations, revenge bodies, and red carpet reveals, Emma Watson rewrote the entire script. Her journey wasn't about becoming someone else. It was about becoming more herself. She didn't chase fame. She didn't seek approval. She didn't break down to build back up. She simply evolved with grace, grit, and unshakable purpose. And that's what makes her transformation not just stunning, but revolutionary. Because when the world told Emma Watson who she should be, she looked them in the eye and said, "Watch me become something even greater." And she did.